it going, guys and girls? Welcome to another video. It's Axel Williams here. Axel Williams is back with another video. Of course, I've been doing a lot of voiceover videos of late. I've been doing a lot of different kinds of videos. I've also, guys and girls, got a, obviously quite recently I released that cave simulator that I actually created. Soon I'm going to be releasing a horror mortuary simulator. So it's going to be a game simulator style type horror. And that is going to be coming out soon. Yes, it's going to be called Alice and the Mortuary. So look out for that because I'm going to be uploading that within the next couple of weeks as well. But today, guys, we're talking about the scariest game in the world, Visage. Now, I do call this game, I do actually believe this is the scariest game ever made, Visage. I mean, I've played some scary games, you know, I've played Outlast, like I said, previous videos. Visage, I wanted to make a dedicated video to this horror game because it is so scary, honestly. It's probably one of those games that goes under the radar, probably one of those games that not a lot of people have actually played. But Visage, for me, is the scariest game in the world. It's the scariest game, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, the scariest game that I personally have ever played. Before I get onto this, guys, spoilers, so if you don't want to hear anything about this game, if you do have intentions to play it, turn off the video right now. But before we get on to aspects of the story, what really terrifies me about this game, what for me really feeds onto that kind of line of horror is the ambience of the game. You know, for so long we play action horror games. I mean, there's so many action-y horror games out there. Psychological horror games are definitely, for me, the way forward. There's been so many of them, obviously, since the release of Silent Hills PT. You know, a lot of these games are inspired. I'm going to actually go as far as to say even Visage is inspired by Silent Hills PT. But what makes this game so scary is just the fact that throughout majority of the game, nothing's happening. There's no music playing. All you can hear is your footsteps and kind of the ambience of the house. It's like one of those subtle horror, you know, you got things happening, but things happening very, very discreetly. It's more to do about the noises that you hear and the visuals that you see more than actual, you know, pop at the screen jump scares. And your task is to basically uncover the truth and kind of free yourself from what is taking place in the house. But the journey from naught to finish is probably one of the most traumatic experiences I have ever had to deal with in my life. The game is split into 3 chapters. There's a little girl, there's an old lady, and then there's a guy on crutches who basically chases you around a hospital. But when we talk about being scared and being completely freaked out, there is nothing more freaky than the old lady chapter. I think the old lady was called Dolores. The Dolores chapter of the game is utterly terrifying. They all are. But the Dolores chapter and also the little girl, Lucy, those 2 chapters are absolutely horrifically terrifying. In the Lucy chapter, she's got an imaginary friend, and this imaginary friend, you actually do get to see this imaginary friend in the game as well. It's like this black creature with a mask on, and, you know, it kind of haunts you throughout the game in patches. But Lucy is just this little girl who kind of hides in the darkness and waits for you to kind of walk into the scene for her to appear. But the worst thing is about this game, it's not like one of those games where certain areas are well lit. Most of the scary moments in this game happen in complete darkness, and all you've got on you is a lighter and a camera. So the way you see ahead of yourself is by turning on the flash of the camera. It's those moments in the game as well where it's completely silent. You'll be walking down a corridor and it's completely quiet. And then all of a sudden, something happens out the blue, but you don't expect it because the whole game is just a massive ambience trip. You know, it's just a massive kind of suspense trip. You're walking and you just think you're completely safe for a moment, and then all of a sudden something happens, and it's just, the game does an absolutely fantastic job of building atmosphere and tension like no game I have ever seen before. Sad Square Productions, they did an absolutely fantastic job. I believe it is Sad Square Productions. They did an absolutely superb job with this game. I know they took inspiration from, obviously, Silent Hills PT. Everyone did at the time. Obviously, Silent Hills PT dropped and everybody was kind of copying the mold. That was now, well, that is now the new style of horror. That is the new way of making horror games, isn't it? In terms of those scary, tense, atmospheric horrors, Silent Hills PT kind of paved the way for everything you see after it. In terms of a game that replicates Silent Hills PT, if you never played Silent Hills PT and you really wanted to, Visage is the game for you. It is the closest game. Honestly, I've played so many. The Visage is the closest replica to Silent Hills PT you will find. And I'll be honest with you, in terms of horror and tension, Visage surpasses Silent Hills PT. And probably, had Silent Hills PT had become a full game in the future, I doubt it would have been as scary as Visage. It's a game, to be honest with you, when I first played it, I honestly thought the whole game was going to take place in the household. I first played the game and I thought the whole game's going to take place in the household, but the game actually leads you to different places, takes you to different places. There's a bit when I was talking about the little girl, her chapter, Lucy, where she's got a drawing on her bedroom wall, and you can actually rip through this drawing and enter another world where it's even more scary. There's like a room full of bird cages, and she's in there, and the only way you can see where you're going is if you turn on the flash on your camera. The Dolores chapter as well, the old lady chapter, there's a bit where she's just twitching under a light bulb, and you just kind of don't know what to do. There's also a bit where she's talking on a baby monitor, and she's just speaking random numbers. She's just saying random numbers, and it's in this really eerie voice. And honestly, there's not a lot of jump scares. Like I've said it before, there's not a lot of jump scares in this game. You get some games, I've played some Silent Hill PT replica games and some recent horror games that are just jump scare after jump scare. So, Silent Hills PT did this really well as well, and Visage does as well. It builds atmosphere and tension. It puts atmosphere and tension over jump scares, and honestly, you just feel on edge throughout the whole playing experience because of that. It's like if you were to kind of experience a real haunting yourself, I'd imagine Visage would be exactly what it would be like. If you were to probably picture a horror scenario in your mind of being haunted, Visage would be exactly what your mind would conjure up. Visage is basically something out of your worst nightmares. The first time I ever played the game, it took me 23 hours. I think I had a 23-hour, it tells you how long it took you to complete the game at the end of the game. It took me 23 hours to complete Visage first time. I did it second time last year. It took me 6.5 hours. So it's like a 17-hour difference in playing time, because first time I played it, I didn't want to move. There was another game, wasn't there? Madison. People talk about Madison. I saw so many YouTube videos subtitling Madison as the scariest game ever, the scariest game they've ever played. There's a guy I watch on YouTube called Hollow. I always watch his videos. He does a lot of horror videos, and he played it. You know, I like seeing people's reactions as well to people playing games, horror games, because there's some of the horror games I've not played, so I like seeing people's reactions to them and seeing the stories of them. But Madison, so many people call it the scariest game ever. I played it, I finished it over a year back. I personally didn't think it was that scary. I didn't think Madison was actually that scary. I'm not going to lie, I've played it. I've played Visage. Visage is better graphically as well. The level of detail in the environment for Visage is better. And I'm not sure if that actually helped for me towards the actual atmosphere. But I thought the story in Visage is creepier. The way they actually delivered the actual game, you know, like the actual gameplay aspects, I thought were more freaky and more creepy in Visage. Slightly slower paced. And I think that really added to the tension you felt while playing it. Guys, give it a try. Visage, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Like I said, stick around for more content. I'm going to be releasing a horror mortuary simulator. So it's going to be like a PlayStation, Xbox style game. It's going to be it's going to feel like a game when you're watching it. It's going to look like a game. People who saw my pyramid story, my Tatacum. It was basically about a guy walking around an abandoned cave system looking for his brother. That was basically a horror cave simulator that I actually spent over a year making. And this mortuary horror is another one I'm doing. I've spent about 5-6 months making this one. Slightly less, it's a bit of a less scale in terms of graphics. It's going to feel a bit more like an indie game. But I've been spending about 5 or 6 months making it. I'll make it on a program called Cinema 4D, and it's going to be like a horror game simulator in a mortuary. So stick around for that, because that could be one of my next videos. Guys, thanks ever so much for watching though. Like and subscribe for more content, obviously, and obviously just to keep notified about everything coming up. Guys, I will see you soon. Thanks ever so much for watching. Ta-ta for now.